Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation. My name is Naledi Mfoloe, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News Channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our community. Now, today we're going to be discussing something that the world has actually never seen in the 2,000-year history of the Catholic Church. A Black man, an African man, and possibly the next Pope. Now, his name is Cardinal Robert Serra, and he comes from the humble village of Guinea. And at the age of 70 years old, Serra is now one of the top names being whispered in the halls to actually replace Pope Francis, who's been hospitalized since February with double pneumonia. And if elected, Cardinal Serra would become the first Black Pope in modern history.
Yeah, I really have a sense, and again, it's just a spiritual sense, and I don't purport to have some inside track, that there's a shift underway, a shift. And I think we're seeing it manifested in many, many ways, but particularly in the church. And I do believe that the next occupant of the chair of Peter will be a man who is profoundly in love with Jesus Christ, who will guard the deposit of faith, who can help to undo the damage that's been done and bring about a great restoration of the church. And, I have had my own speculation about that, as many of us do. But one of the men that I find to be the most inspiring these days is Cardinal Serra. And I do think when you look at Africa, people saying, oh, the church is, dwindling in numbers. Not in Africa. The church in Africa is on fire. Churches are full. Seminaries are full. And I have to tell you, the African bishops and priests that I meet are in love with the Lord Jesus and have a profound evangelical joy about them, while they are faithful and orthodox with a small o. And Cardinal Serra is a great man of God.
But let's rewind for a moment, right? This man once walked 70 miles barefoot just to attend Mass. Now, that's not just politics, but that's conviction, if you ask me. And ordained at the age of 24, he became Archbishop of Conakry at just 34, standing up to Guinea's dictator. And during a time when priests were actually being hunted and churches were silent, Serra chose truth over safety and principle over power. And now he might wear the white robe of St. Peter. But let's not act like the road is clear, right? Let's speak truth. The Vatican has never had a Black Pope, and that's just the honest truth. Never had an African at the helm, and critics say that it won't happen now, and not because of doctrine, but because of deep, uncomfortable truths. Some fear a Black Pope would lift the lid off the church's darkest scandals, and which is the cover-ups, the abuse, the silence. And in a time when over 3,000 priests have been expelled for abusing children from Ireland to the US to Africa, maybe the world doesn't want a man who might not claim a law. And that's because we know that Cardinal Serra is a conservative, right? He doesn't bow to trends. He speaks out against what he sees as moral decay, and he defends the traditional Mass. And of course, he's not perfect. And yes, some say he's too rigid and too old school and too uncompromising for today's church. But I say maybe that's exactly what the church actually needs, right?
Someone said in the stream, Cardinal Serra for Pope. As awesome as that would be, it's not going to happen. He's one person I will say that will not happen, because even though he's like too old to be elected Pope, or not elected, excuse me, to vote to be Pope, I don't think he'll be the one.
He said, no one take ordinary Catholic. Be right back. Yeah. Oh man, it's a hopeful thing.
It would be awesome to a degree, because he's just so holy.
Yeah, that's it. Like, okay, so hopes aside for dogma and stuff like that, like to have a holy pope would be amazing. And I don't care what anybody says, Cardinal Sarah is a holy man. Like,
yeah, he's a very
it'd be like even man. And
It
a
would be-
Sarah would elevate Schneider to the cardinalate.
No,
Like,
no,
you have to
he
think about the implications of it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
no,
Like, there's implications with a Cardinal Sarah. A Cardinal Sarah would elevate men to the cardinalate who could then become papabile, because he's an older guy, and we don't know how.
I mean, if the church says it truly believes that it's universal, then let its next leader reflect that universality, right? Cardinal Sarah is not just a black man, in my view. He's a product of Africa's faith, Africa's pain, and Africa's power. He is the embodiment of a church that is not confined to cathedrals in Rome, but one that lives in the heat of Sahel, in the cries of Lagos, and the chants of Nairobi. So I ask you, right? Is the world ready for a black pope? Or more importantly, is the church ready to listen to the voice it's long ignored? The decision will come down to a few dozen cardinals in a room in Rome, but the impact, I believe it will echo in every chapel, in every soul, in every child who dares to dream, from the villages of Guinea to the streets of Johannesburg, right? Whether the Cardinal Sarah becomes Pope or not, his name is in that conversation already, which cracks open a door that's been shut for centuries. And once it's open, I do believe that there's no turning back from that. What are your thoughts on this? Please, let's continue the conversation in the comment section. And while you at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me. Till we meet again, it is goodbye for now.